Global University, Saharanpur. So regarding this webinar, I would like to give a brief description before I go about introducing our experts. As we know that not a single country has remained untouched and impregnable from the onslaught of the havoc. The the world is facing such a torment, not for the first time in the history. We have seen such kind of pandemic at the time of Spanish flu, 1918, and plague in the 14th century, but this time this is unprecedented. And the magnitude and severity of affliction is like tremendous, and we don't know a lot more has to be done. We don't know what can be done. And in this context, our businesses, our industry has been badly affected. Uh, our topic for today is that we'll see how the micro, small, and medium enterprises are like feathering in this storm. Are they doing well? Are they doing bad? But as far as I know, my understanding goes as an outsider who is not an expert, they are not doing well. In fact, our government, Prime Minister Modi, has recently gave a package which had a significant portion of a significant like contribution to the MSMEs. But that is my view. That is my outsider's view. We will see what our experts have to say, and that is the topic of our webinar today. And before I go into detail, or before we start the discussion, I would like to introduce our panelists. The first person to go for today's discussion. So how we have designed it for today that we will have 20-minute section for all the three speakers. So first, Dr. H.W. Akram, Dr. Hafiz Wasim Akram, he will go. After that, Dr. Daud Siddiqui, he will speak for 20 minutes, and then Dr. Alam, he will follow the discussion. So about the guest, I would like to introduce a bit. So Dr. Wasim Akram, he's a assistant professor of international business management at College of Business and Economics, Arba, Munich University, Ethiopia. He has done his PhD from Jamia Millia Islamia. Dr. M.D. Siddiqui, he has also done his PhD from Jamia Millia Islamia, and his doctoral fellow, he had doctoral fellowship from ICSSR. As a research scholar, he has worked with Professor Kevin Lane Keller, the father of brand management. We all have studied that book on brand management by Professor Keller. So he has worked with him as a scholar. Since 2013, he has been associated with various academic institutions like Ford School of Management, Delhi University, Jamia Millia, Jamia Ahmad, Al-Falah University, Indira Gandhi, National Open University. Dr. Siddiqui has 12 research papers, and he has been member of various academic bodies like Indian Commerce Association, Indian Accounting Association. He also heads business research at India SME Forum, ISF. So regarding ISF Forum, there are 86,000 small, medium, and micro manufacturing and micro enterprises are registered. 270 plus sectors are there, regional associations, supporters, various international organizations are its partners. This body has conducted like more than 800 seminars, workshops, and they have fostered a kind of entrepreneurial culture with an agenda of building a new India. The third guest that who we have today is Dr. Alam Ahmed. Dr. Alam Ahmed has been associated with Global University for almost 2 years now. Currently, he's on leave and he's working with the he's working in Saudi Arabia as a in Saudi Electronics University, Saudi Arabia, and he is a professor of finance and economics. He has worked with the National Small Industries Corporation, NSIC, New Delhi. He has also served Jamia Millia Islamia and Shimbasi Center for Management Studies before moving to Saudi Arabia. So without taking much more time, I've already taken some time, so I'll hand it over to Dr. Wasim. And over to you, Dr. Wasim. Welcome. I welcome you, and please take us ahead. I think you are on mute, Dr. Wasim. Can you unmute Anwar?
Mr. Wasim, please unmute your.
Is it okay now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Please proceed.
Thank you. Revered the Department of Business, officer, members of the organizing committee, fellow presenters, and dear participants. First of all, I would like to say a very good morning to all of you. Or here at that side, there is good afternoon. At the outset, I must thank every participant for showing keen interest in this webinar, for waiting for this to happen, and for today's participation right now. I must also congratulate the members of organizing committee for beautifully organizing this webinar and for beautiful publicizing this and attracting a large number of audience. I am excited enough to see the number of audience as high as 800. As we know that this COVID-19 has been a buzz term for the last 6 months. And it is on everybody's tongue. And why not? It should be on everybody's tongue because it has affected almost every person on this earth, from north to south, from east to west. Everybody is affected. It has not only affected the human beings, it has affected the organizations and the animals as well. When a disease spreads to the nation or spreads to the world, it is called a pandemic. And WHO has already called this coronavirus or COVID-19 as pandemic because of the severity and the scale of effect. This pandemic, is not unprecedented. The world has seen many pandemics before. If you see the literature, you will find the instances of pandemics, they are in galore. We know that AIDS, influenza, HIV, tuberculosis, all pandemics the world has already suffered. But I would like to mention, especially the two lethal pandemics the world has ever seen, and that is the pandemic of 14th century and the pandemic of 1918. The pandemic of 18th century, has been the most lethal pandemic on this earth. It has killed, an estimated about 75 million to 200 million people across the world. The second most lethal pandemic, most ghastly, most detrimental pandemic was the pandemic of, 1980, influenza pandemic, which also killed almost 17 million to an estimated 50 million people the world over. This COVID-19 is the third deadliest pandemic the world is facing right now. But it is rather unjustified, I think, and unwarranted to arrive at any conclusion. What will happen? When will we see the end of this pandemic? Nobody knows. As we know that the BBC has already reported that maybe we are not going to see the end of this pandemic for the next 2 years. The world is unanimous. All governments are working together. Drug agencies are working unanimously, round the clock, 24/7, to bring an antidote, to bring a solution to this nefarious problem. But so far, no concrete result has come. We hope so. We should be positive. But God knows what will happen in the coming days. This COVID-19 has already killed almost 595,000 people the world over. The number of infected people is as high as 10 million. And it has not stopped. It's going on. We should pray to God to bring a solution to this. As all economies of the world, Indian economy is also shattered completely. All sectors of Indian economy are devastated. And the most important sector of Indian economy is micro, small, and medium enterprises, which we call MSME. As I am addressing to most of the students, I must clearly mention what do we mean by MSME. MSME is one of the sectors of Indian economy. It is governed by MSME Development Act, and there are three types of enterprises: micro, small, and medium. There are almost 63.4 million units in whole of India, and most of the units belong to micro enterprise. Now, what is that which draws the attention of the scholars, which draws the attention of the government, which draws the attention of the scholars toward the sector? As I think, it is the contribution of MSME to the India's economy which is drawing the attention of all stockholders to the sector. If you see, the contribution of MSME to India's GDP is as high as 30%. The contribution of India's MSME to India's total export is as high as 40 to 45%. Its contribution to India's manufacturing output is as high as 45%. It is the second biggest employment generator after agriculture. It produces about 6,000 products. These are the things which are drawing the attention of all stakeholders towards the sickness. MSME sector is right now sick. If you compare this sector with agriculture, agriculture is considered as the backbone of India's economy. But compare the contribution of India's agriculture to India's economy and MSME's contribution to India's economy. The contribution of agriculture to India's employment generation is almost 50%. But what about MSME? It is the second biggest employment generator. Agriculture contribution to India's export is almost 11 to 13%. To India's GDP is 17 to 80%. But if you see the contribution of MSME, the contribution is much, much bigger than the contribution of agriculture. And these are the reasons. These are the reasons that MSME is called the engine of growth, the wheel of India's economy, and the lifeline of India's economy. Now we can imagine if the engine becomes faulty, the wheel becomes distorted, and there is no life in the lifeline, can we imagine the existence of Indian economy without the existence of this sector? Perhaps not. When we can't imagine India's economy without the existence of agriculture, how can we imagine India's economy without the existence of a healthy MSME sector? It's quite clear. We must understand the problem. The problem of MSME is right now as the problem of laborers of India. What is happening with laborers? They earn every day, they eat every day. They don't have reserve for rainy days. If you don't give them employment tomorrow, maybe tomorrow they will survive, but day after tomorrow they will begin to perish. And the same thing is happening with MSME. The same thing applies to MSME. They don't have enough resources. They have meager, investment. If you close the economy for a good number of days, it is bound to kill that sector. When the economy was to go for lockdown, the report was coming that if you close the economy, almost 40% of MSME sector will shut down. If you close the economy for 15 days, 70% of MSME will shut down. Now the news is coming that most of the MSME units are closed because of one reason or the other. The government must think, all the stakeholders must devise their strategy, how to read it open. Otherwise, reopening is a must at this point of time. There are a good number of challenges and limitations with both the government as well as the MSME sector. Though I don't like to talk much about these challenges because the other presenters will have say there on these challenges, but I would like to enumerate and discuss 2 or 3 of them, which I perceive as very important. When MSME closed their units, they terminated the laborers. When they terminated the laborers started, moving here to there, from pillar to post, in order to get food, in order to go home. They bore the brunt of persecution by the owners. They suffered bureaucratic machinery. They were suffering how to go home. And there is very, very good maxim, once bitten, twice shy, because they have now gone home, many of them on foot, by walking 1,000 kilometers. Maybe they have gone for good. Maybe they have determined not to come to work. News is coming that some of them have returned to work after reopening of the economy, but that some of them is very little, very, very meager, infinitesimal, I can say. There is a challenge before the government, before the MSME owners as well. How will you convince those laborers to come to work? How will you convince those laborers, because they have suffered and this suffering is, haunted on their minds? A good number of challenges, for example, challenges is related with logistics. There are challenges related with working capital. There are challenges related with sale of goods in Indian economy as well as in international economy. There are challenges related with new startups. There are challenges even related with stimulus package. But I would not speak so much on all of them, but a few of them, 2 or 3. Take, for example, the challenges related with sale of goods. As we know that Indian economy right now is passing through deep recession. GDP is contracting. Export has fallen by 35% in April 2020 as compared to April 2019. The import has gone down by 47% in April 2020 as compared to April 2019. Inflation is high, unemployment is touching almost 26%. And these situations are not only with the Indian economy, they are being faced and perceived across the world. When the economy passes through these stages, these problems, there is less demand in the market. When there is less demand, there is less export. Now, how is MSME affected here? I would like to say that 40% of India's export is contributed by MSME sector. When there is less demand in international market of Indian goods, that means that there is less demand of MSME product as well. Less demand means less export. Less export means less proceeds to MSME. And when there are less proceeds, there is less income. And when there is less income, financial problem goes high, goes up. And at this time, MSME is suffering from financial encumbrances. It's quite clear. They don't have sufficient working capital right now to run these units. At this time, they need money. It's quite clear and it's a matter of happiness as well that the government has come up with a stimulus package. And that stimulus package has been announced and advertised with a lot of fanfare that it is 10% of India's GDP. And it is, of course, a matter of great happiness that the government is concerned for the revival of the sector. But the question also arises that how much this most important sector of Indian economy got in its pocket. If you see the quantification of data, it's available online. MSME could get only 49 billion out of 280 billion stimulus package. Now, this 49 billion package seems very good, very handsome. But if you see the percentage, it is only 17% of total stimulus package. Now, a question arises, a sector whose contribution to India's GDP by 30%, whose contribution is 45% in export, whose contribution to manufacturing output is 45%, who is the second biggest employment generator. For that sector, this stimulus package contribution is just 17%. If you compare this 49 billion out of India's total GDP of India is right now 2,800 billion US dollar. If you compare this 49 billion out of 2,800 billion dollars, it is minuscule 1.75%. It's matter of great concern. It's matter of great regret. We have to think again that just 1.75% is for that important sector on which India depends. Again, if you see, 49 billion looks very handsome, but this is same as we say that India is the 5th largest economy in terms of GDP. It is greater than UK and Canada. It looks very handsome, very beautiful, very satisfying. But is that GDP the real indicator? Perhaps not. We have to assess an economy on the basis of GDP per capita. When you see the GDP per capita of Indian economy, the 5th position becomes 139th position. It becomes completely, upside down. From 5th to 139. The same thing is happening here. 49 billion US dollars is looking very handsome, very good. But if you distribute this 49 billion US dollar among 63.4 million units, maybe each unit of MSME sector will get only 772 US dollars. If you multiply this $772 with 75 rupees, that is the exchange rate, each unit will get only 57,000 rupees. Now, a question arises in the mind. Can you revive a sick unit by paying 57,000 rupees? Perhaps not, because 57,000 rupees is not sufficient even for the treatment of a sick person. How will you treat a sick unit by paying 57,000 rupees? See the contribution of each unit in India's GDP. Each unit of MSME sector contributes almost 10 lakhs of rupees to the India's GDP. Now, a matter of great regret that a sick unit which contributes almost 10 lakhs of rupees to India's GDP every year, and unfortunately that unit got sick, you are giving just 57,000 rupees for the treatment of the illness. We have to think. I don't understand the reason behind keeping 507 billion US dollars as forex reserve. That 507 billion US dollars is 18% of India's GDP. Mind it, it is 18% of India's GDP. For which days the government is keeping that 507 billion US dollars as reserve? Are we expecting war between India and China? Are we expecting a war between India and Pakistan? Are we expecting a war between India and Nepal? Then only you will spend this money. Those problems can be solved with the help of diplomacy. India is right. Why not it raises the issue before the United Nations? India is a member of the United Nations, you must understand. We have to that serve to the revival of this sector. If you don't give them proper help, sufficient help, maybe it will be so much. Unfortunately, we will suffer. That's why it is incumbent on the government that use that forex reserve for the revival of the sickness. Apart from this, there are other challenges as well. Challenges are related with logistical issues, but I don't want to discuss upon them. But one thing I would say, because when I come before webinar presentation, we go through literature review. Many scholars are recommending that Indian MSME should go for Industry 4.0. It must adopt Industry 4.0. Many scholars are recommending. But we must understand that Industry 4.0 means adoption of technology, adoption of artificial intelligence, adoption of robotics in business process, and these things are not a short-term project. These things are a long-term project. At this time, the sector is about to die, and a dying person, a dying unit needs some sort of help from the government, and the government has helped it, but that help is not sufficient. As already pointed out by economists, that this help is just a small potato. And that is what I am saying. This is quite minuscule. The government must revise their strategy. It must export based on this sector.
I would like to interrupt here, Dr. Wasim. You have 1.5 minutes more to go.
Okay, thank you so much. I will conclude now. My time is up. So finally, I would like to say that you have to pay attention again. You have to revise your strategy for the revival of this sick unit. Otherwise, it will be too late. And the economy, which we call with pride that this economy is the golden bird. If you don't help this sector out from financial morass, India will remain a bird, but it will not be a golden bird in the coming time. That is all from me, and thank you so much for patiently listening to me. Thank you so much. Now you can listen to other presenter. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Wasim. In a short, we can say that Dr. Wasim has pointed towards the problems and the challenges that small, micro, and medium enterprises are facing, and he has also pointed out what are the important aspects why these SMEs are very important. Now we will move over to Dr. Siddiqui, and he will talk about in more detail other challenges, other issues. So I would welcome Dr. Siddiqui. Please, over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Before I start, first of all, I would like to thank Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Satish Sharma, Professor Shafiullah Anis, Head Global School of Business and Commerce, and all concerned authorities. Thank you, Dr. Anwar and Kanupriya ma'am. Thank you, Global University, for organizing this webinar and giving me the opportunity to be a part of this event. This event is all the more important because just yesterday we have celebrated International MSME Day. And today we are here to discuss on the current situation of MSMEs. So let me begin. Let me present this slide. Yeah. So I would be talking about some challenges and the way forward for MSMEs. See, sometimes the toughest lessons of life are learned at the hardest of time. The same is true for businesses as well. COVID-19 has taught MSMEs many lessons. They are the hardest of those hit by the pandemic. COVID-19 and the preceding lockdown have brought unprecedented challenges for MSMEs. But we believe there is a way out. Life is full of challenges, and had it not been for this tough period, we would not have realized our mistakes and understood our situation. It is time that MSMEs rethink, recheck, and reapproach. Perhaps a due diligence and some smart move is all what is needed. Dr. Akram has already discussed the definition of MSMEs, who are MSMEs, and why are MSMEs important for our economy. If we look at the definition of MSME, we find that there is no universally accepted definition. In India, the earlier definition was based on investment, and now we have increased that limit, and in fact, turnover is also included. It is based on investment as well as turnover. This has been done to strengthen the base of our industrial structure, to identify and help those who need the most the schemes and the facilities. What is also important to understand here is that MSMEs contribute much to our society and the economy. With 20% input, they give 80% result. So that is why the government wants to help MSMEs, and that is why the definition is based on investment and turnover. If we look at the global scenario, we see that MSMEs are the backbone of many economies. They represent 95% of all companies worldwide. So just imagine the huge area that they cover. They account 60% of all employment and contribute 50% to GDP of developed countries and around 35% in developing countries. If we look at the scenario of India, we see that there are more than 6.3 crore MSMEs in India, producing more than 20 lakh crores of goods and services, which comes to around 40% of the country's GDP. They are also the second largest employer in the country after agriculture. They employ around 111 million people in India alone. More than 45% of the industrial output is from MSMEs, and they contribute nearly 50% to our exports. That comes to around roughly 158.76 billion US dollars. And still, the untapped export potential is estimated to be around 190 billion US dollars. More than 1.39 crore MSMEs, more than 1.39 crore MSMEs are registered with Udyog Aadhaar. So, Mr. Akram has rightly pointed out that the economy of the country depends how our MSME sector performs. MSME sector has always faced many challenges, starting from unskilled laborers, lack of finance facilities, inefficient working capital management. There are legal issues that they face. They face difficulty in complying with the regulatory norms. There's poor product quality, below standard systems, and they don't even have information on export markets and opportunities available. But if we look at the current situation, it is a testing time for MSMEs. The lockdowns have affected severely. No exact data is available, but we can say, according to the reports that have come out, around 22 to 43% of the MSMEs may face shutdown. 1/3 have already started operations, but we don't know much about the rest. Not much can be said at this stage due to many reasons. One such reason is the interest moratorium. And we don't know how many of them have temporarily closed their shutter or that is permanent. Only time will tell. Nevertheless, they have many other challenges to face. There's a challenge of managing the business as a whole. There's a lack of demand for their product. There's supply disruption. They face difficulty in paying salaries, PFs, ESIs, taxes, and even loans. They are unable to manage their working capital, their work and the workforce. And another important challenge for them is that they do not receive the payment in time. We'll be talking more on that. So what is the way out? I want to stress on this. This is the main point. What is the way out? See, if we look at the challenges, Mr. Akram has pointed out that the government can do many things. I agree with him. But my emphasis is that the MSMEs themselves can do much. They can adopt new business models. It is time to rethink, think out of the box. In this changing business environment, it has become imperative for MSMEs to continue to produce and remain competitive and at the same time relevant to the ever-changing market demands. What is needed is new lines of products and markets, efficiency in operation, effective promotional efforts, continuous supply of resources with sophisticated technology tools and digitalization. Recently, I have come across an entrepreneur who has two plans. One for the short-term survival and the other one is for the long-term growth. So that is what we need to think out of the box. We need to create Delta 4 companies providing Delta 4 solutions. What is Delta 4? I will be stressing on this point. We need to create Delta 4 solutions. What is Delta 4? So like we do research and we try to get the satisfaction level on a scale. So we ask consumers how much they are satisfied. So think about a product 10 years back and think about the existing solution that similar products provide. I mean to say, 10 years back, we used to go and line up in the IRCTC counter to take counter tickets, but now we have apps. 10 years back, we had feature phones, now we have Android phones. 10 years back, we had VCP, VCDs, but now we have something else, we have pen drive. So new solutions have come. Now, if we are to take the satisfaction level of the consumers in a scale of 1 to 10, we'll see for the old product, they will give, for say example, product like IRCTC counter ticket, if I ask you how much are you satisfied with the counter ticket, you will rate it between 2, 3, 4. But the same thing for the rate that you will give for an online booking through an app which has given a solution to us, you may be satisfied and you will put 7, 8, 9, 10, anything. So whenever there is a difference of more than 4 points, we say it is a Delta 4 company. Delta 4 is important. It is important for companies, precisely MSMEs, to provide Delta 4 solutions. Why I'm stressing on this point that we need to create Delta 4 solution is because when we have a Delta 4 solution, there is irreversibility. What do we mean by irreversibility? That means that if we are used to booking online ticket or tickets through app or using Android phones, how many of us will be going back and booking the tickets through counter? Or we will be, interested in using featured phones? Not many. There is UBP, that is unique brag worth of proposition. That means word of mouth, effective word of mouth. How many of us have heard about advertisement of WhatsApp or Truecaller? None of us. So how come we have installed Truecaller and WhatsApp? That is because our friend came and said us, who is much more satisfied than us, and he said that, what are you using? You have another solution which will make you more satisfied, which will solve many problems. So that means word of mouth is there, and we shift to the more efficient stage from the inefficient stage. There's also high tolerance. That means Even if there is a temporary problem, we will not be going back. If there's a temporary problem with the IRCTC site online, not many of us will be willing to go back and take a counter ticket. So that is why we said we need a Delta 4 solution. So this is the time to think, to observe, to remodel and relaunch. We need to understand the customers and monitor competitors. We need to monitor the trends, and we need to identify the influencing factors. The other important thing is that in order to move forward is that we need to register. I'll share with you a data. 90% of the MSME units are unregistered and 90% are also dependent on self-finance. So you can see the relation. If you are registered, it is easy for you to get finance. You can register yourself with Udyog Aadhar. The advantage is that you will get loans with without collateral facilities, subsidy on patent registration, concession on electricity, protection against delayed payments, reimbursement on certificate charges. If you are registered with Udyog Aadhar, you can easily register yourself with GEM. What is GEM? You get the facility of providing your products to the government. Government purchases your products on priority basis. You can access government departments. It is a one-stop for marketing with minimal efforts. You get the facility of uninterrupted supply and you also avail other benefits and schemes. The other thing is that MSMEs need finance. So what can we do? Finance is a lifeblood. What can MSME do? See, we have already stressed on the point of Delta 4. If you have a Delta 4 solution, you need not worry. You need not run after anybody. People will come after you. There's a new concept in the market, relatively new. You might have heard about crowdsourcing. Yes. Another term for that is peer-to-peer lending in terms of commercial transactions. Peer-to-peer lending. Peer-to-peer lending means institutions or individuals lending to other individuals without any intermediaries or financial institutions as middlemen. Yes. In India, P2P lending is considered as an NBFC, non-banking financial company. So that means it is an alternate source of financing whereupon you can get finance of rupees 50 lakh at the most. It is an innovative and a unique way of improving the credit flow of MSMEs. See, there are online portals where you can get the money, and there are many people who are willing to lend you money. So we can take advantage of those things. Another important thing for MSMEs is to invest in technology and digitalization. We cannot think of anything at this point of time without technology. Technology is the only thing which has let us going, which has enabled us going. We are here, we are in this webinar thanks to technology. Technology, by technology we mean anything which makes work easy, provides solution, and speeds up the process. Technology is not an option, it is a must for survival. It is unavoidable. If we don't leverage on technology, soon we will be out of the market. So now it is the question of space versus time versus technology. So example, there is social distancing in place. So now you need a bigger factory, bigger meeting place. And if you have technology, for example, Zoom, we can conduct meeting through Zoom. So you can save your time, you can save your money, you can save the amount you will be spending on space by spending on technology. So that is why technology is very important. Another important thing is to build capacity and environment. You can spend the time to learn new things, not just for yourself, but for the workforce as well. Invest in platforms like LMS, learning management systems. You need to learn about work from home strategies, digital marketing, softwares which makes work easy, technologies. Learn and plan. One more important thing is that there are many things that we can talk about, but another important thing that I want to talk is dispute settlement. We all know that MSMEs are bound to receive payment within 45 days. But what happens in this scenario? Payment is not received. So what happened? The litigation, court cases, there are more than 31 million court cases pending. So what is the way out? The way out is mediation and arbitration. In fact, for all commercial disputes, say contracts, professional negligence, property disputes, construction, consumer insurance, personal injury, disputes with government, we can have mediation and arbitration. The advantage is that it saves time, it saves cost. It helps in ease of doing business. When MSMEs at large, they adopt mediation and arbitration. It helps in ease of doing business, and it will increase our country's rank. Even the Supreme Court in January 12, 2020, has constituted a committee to look into the matter. And now we have ODR, online dispute settlement mechanism. So now you don't have to go anywhere to search for a middleman. You can settle your disputes online. Think about foreign trades. When you need to travel to foreign countries and the judgment of one country.
So you have last 5 minutes.
Okay, I'll try to wind up within 5 minutes. Thank you. So when we are talking about foreign trades, when you have to go to other country and the judgments of one country is also not enforceable in many other countries, what is the way out? The way out is online dispute settlement mechanism. So already there are companies such as software companies, pharma companies, insurance, banking and banking institutions who have already adopted to mediation and arbitration. So it is time for MSMEs to adopt it on a larger scale. The other thing that MSMEs need to take advantage of are the different schemes that the government of India provides. There are schemes specially for entrepreneurs, for startups, for MSMEs. There is PMEGP, Prime Minister's Employment Generation Scheme. There's ISEC scheme, IC scheme, CGT MSc scheme. There are millions of schemes. I can go on and on talking about the schemes. There are schemes specially dedicated for women entrepreneurs, such as Mudra Yojana, TRAD, Mahila Udyam Nidhi, Annapurna scheme, Stree Shakti, Bharatiya Mahila Business Bank Loan. There are many schemes. Recently, the government has talked about Atmanirbhar Bharat, with the Prime Minister announcing special economic package titled Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, amounting to rupees 20 lakh crore, which is almost 10% of India's GDP. MSMEs are bound to benefit manifold. So what will happen with this Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan? It is aimed to create an entire ecosystem in each state. Ecosystem to support factories with local supply chains and employment generation at each district level. There's also a champions portal, which is nothing but a tech-driven control room for distressed MSMEs. So you can take advantage of that also. Now, I would like to end my speech in two slides, where MSMEs should focus at present. It is time that they focus on digital transformation for remote working, for meeting, and many other works. Recently, data has come out through HDFC and Axis Bank and RBL. They said that credit card spending has gone up by 70%. Consumer spending has gone up to 8% when we compare with pre-lockdown period. So there are things which help businesses to grow. All you need is to think on that. Zoom is a perfect example. Any tech which makes work easy, from softwares to shaving machine, anything and any product which makes life easy, gives solution to the human problems, are bound to flourish. What is needed is a good strategy and a perfect planning. So we suggest the 3W model. You need to have efficient decision making. You need to manage your debt, your cash management. You need to manage. You need to have digital transformation, and you need to manage your workforce. See, recessions and lockdowns, these comes and go, but businesses have to go on. We have seen recessions in the past, be it of 1980, 1990, or 2000. some of the best companies that we see now have flourished in these periods. There's a study by McKinsey which have studied all these recession, and they found that in the 3 years of these recessions, 10% of the companies have flourished. So we are positive. We need to think out of the box, and we need to implement new business models, and only then MSMEs can prosper. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Siddiqui. That was an excellent presentation. So Dr. Siddiqui has talked in detail about the problems of MSMEs, what are the solutions, especially focusing on technology. And also he threw some light on government scheme, especially on Atmanirbhar Abhiyan, the Prime Minister's flagship scheme. So now we are moving to our own Dr. Alam. So over to you, Dr. Alam. Dr. Alam. We can't hear you. I think you're on mute, Dr. Alam.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes, please proceed. Thank you.
Okay. So first of all, I want to say thanks. Thank you so much, Shafi sir, Kanu ma'am, and the whole management team which are organizing this wonderful webinar. And my presentation is going to be more focused towards the COVID-19 and what are the relief packages, what are the main gaps are there in the strategies of the MSMEs and the gaps in the strategies of the Indian government while handling especially the MSME sector amid COVID-19. So let me upload my presentation first. I will start in a minute, inshallah. So here we go. This is the pandemic COVID-19 and the survival of Indian MSMEs. So a lot of things have been discussed with my fellow presentators, and now I will more focus. Like this is the table, which is a compare about, means a kind of the comparison about the old definition and the new definition. So new definition is far beyond the old definition. Basically, it is covering now, means like if we talk about the old definition, we have the data like in India, we are having 63 million, that is 6.3 crore MSMEs. But now the definition has changed. So we can, means now more and more companies are falling in this category. So we can think like the correct data is not available nowadays, right now, because this is just changed a few days back, or 30 days or 45 days back. But we can expect like now the number of MSMEs in India is more than 70 million or more than 7 crores. What are the impacts, what are the contribution of the MSMEs that has been discussed by Dr. Wasim, and what are the way out that has also been discussed by.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you please put your presentation on presentation mode, PPT on presentation mode?
That is already on the presentation? Okay.
Oh, presentation mode actually.
Got it?
No, F4 or something. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Is this clear now? Now it's clear, sir? Okay, so here, am I audible?
Yes, please proceed. Thank you.
Okay, so now I'm going to discuss about the measures which has been taken by the government under the self-reliant or Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme. So that is kind of the economic relief package, and that is about 21 lakh crore. So out of that 21 lakh crore, 370 crore fall in the category, that is for the MSME. And if we break that the first one is the 3 lakh crore INR package for the collateral free loans. We will discuss all these loans one by one.
Your presentation is not there. Sorry, Alam. I'm extremely sorry. Your presentation is gone.
Now, wait, let me upload it again.
Yeah, please.
Is it available now, sir?
Yes. Please proceed.
Yes.
Sorry for the interruption.
So here we are going to discuss about what has been received by the MSME sector and what is the share of the MSME sector given by the Indian government as the economic relief package. So four main measures we can discuss here. The first one is that is 3 lakh crores INR. Okay, the package of the collateral free loans means the guarantee of these loans will be given by the Indian bank. So under this measure, the government is targeting around 45 lakhs MSMEs. 45 lakhs MSMEs. Okay. And another one is 20,000 crore subordinate funds for the stressed MSMEs. So under this scheme or under this measure, government is targeting 2 lakh MSMEs to be benefited. The third one is the 50,000 crore fund of funds for the MSMEs. And under this category, government is targeting 25 lakhs MSMEs. So if we check out, like the MSME sector has got 3,70,000 crore, but under these all 3 or 4 schemes, the government is targeting not more than 70 lakh or 75 lakhs MSMEs, and that makes not more than 1% of the total MSMEs available in India. And if we talk about one by one, what is inside, what is the bone of these kind of the loans or the facilities, or we can say the schemes are coming for the MSMEs. So first scheme, that is most hyped one, 3 lakh crore INR loans, especially for the MSMEs, under which the government is targeting 45 lakh MSMEs. So these loans can be availed by the MSME sector or by any MSME before 31st of October. But here we will have to find it out. Like, is it really a help? If the companies are going to any bank or any financial institution, then almost 10% as interest rate will have to be paid by the companies. The companies are we will have to think again whether the companies are in position to pay that 10% or 14% in case of the non-bank financial if the companies are targeting non-financial or non-banking financial companies. Another means the crux of this 3 lakh crore INR is like who to apply, who are the eligible companies, who are the eligible micro, small or medium enterprises. So those who are already who has already borrowed or who has the existing customers of the banks or the NBFCs, only they are allowed to apply, only they're allowed to get these loans. Another condition is like they should not be in the category of NPA, or they should not be in the category of the SMA2. What is NPA means? Their EMIs as of 29th of February to 2020, their EMIs or their all the loans are going to be in the same line. They should not be fall in the category of the NPAs. So this is another condition. So it means this loan is not for, or this scheme is not for each and every organization. This scheme can be only the existing borrowers can apply in this scheme. How to apply? There is no need to apply. If you are available, if you are eligible for that, your lenders will automatically approach you. Your lenders will inform you like you are these loans are available for you. Okay, and what is the maximum limit? If we talk about the maximum limit, so an organization this is really looking very good. Like each and every organization can get that loan up to the 25 crores. but there is another cap is here, and that is 20% of the total outstanding. So total, suppose if there is an micro level firm and the total outstanding is at a particular point of time on 29th of Feb, suppose the total outstanding or the total loan of that firm is 10 lakh only. So he can get the loan of only 2 lakh in this scheme, not 25 crore. That particular firm cannot even apply for more than 2 lakh. And now it comes to the bank or the financial institution, like how much money they are sanctioning against that claim of 20%. Now, what are the main issues? The first one is, which I have already discussed, like this loan is not for each and every MSME, only the existing borrowers can apply. The another one is burden will be there on the government. Why? Because these loans are collateral free. When the loans are collateral free, banks are not very much interested to means to worry about those loans. Once the loans are gone, if the loans will not be paid by the borrowers, the bank then the government will pay back those loans. So in this case, the burden will be on the government, neither on the bank nor on the borrowers. Second, this loan is second scheme or the second measure which has been taken by the government for the revival of the Indian MSMEs, that is 20,000 crore subordinate fund for the stressed MSMEs. What are the stressed MSMEs? First, we will have to think about that. Stressed MSMEs are those MSMEs which are either which are already in the category of the NPA, or which are about to fall in that category. So, and at what time means as on 31st of April. So we will have to understand again, in this loan, in this kind of the scheme, not every organization can apply. Only those organizations who are coming in the NPA category or who are about to fall in that category on a particular date, that is 30th of April, only those companies or only those enterprises can apply in that. So what is that? In this case, the loan will not go to the organization. The loan will be provided to the promoters, and then the promoters can infuse that money. The promoters can infuse that money to run their own businesses. So, and what is the guarantee? The 90% of the total loan will be guaranteed by the Indian government, and the 10% by the promoter. So, and the maximum time of repayment of this loan will be 10 years. And out of those 10 years, 7 years can be considered as the moratorium. What is this moratorium? In this, the promoter will not pay the money, but the interest will be added in the principal amount. Okay, so this is also a kind of the burden coming on the promoter of a particular micro, small or medium firm. And what is the maximum limit? The maximum limit is 75 lakh, but again, there is a cap of 15% of the total estate. So suppose if the total investment in an organization that is 10 lakh rupees, so the promoter cannot get more than 1.5 lakh rupees under this scheme. The third one is, this is 50,000 crore, and like it says 50,000 crore, and it is announced by the government like 50,000 crore fund of funds for the MSMEs. But the government is investing only 10,000 crore. The rest 40,000 crore will be invested by the daughter funds. We will have to understand, actually, with the help of the NSIC, that is National Small Industries Corporation, the government is making a mother fund, and government is infusing 10,000 crore rupees in that fund. Okay, and with the help of that fund, government means the NSIC will purchase the stakes in high growth and high credit rating MSMEs. So ultimately we can say this benefit will also be there for mainly for the medium enterprises, not for the micro or the small enterprises, because they don't have the reach like this. Okay, but another benefit in this scheme is it will encourage the organizations to be registered on the board of the stock exchange. Why? Because because it will open different ways to be to be registered with the stock exchange. While the 15% equity is being purchased by the government itself, if any company, then we can understand what is the importance, what are the other ways they can explore. Yes, this is really a welcome step by the Indian government, we can say. Under this step is to keep the foreign companies or foreign competitors out of the competition by uh, limiting the global by capping the limit for the global tendering. So the finance ministry clarified that the restrictions on the global tenders for amount up to 200 crores covered all goods and services. It means if any government organization or the department of the Indian government wants to purchase the goods more than less than 200 crores, they will have they will be purchased from the domestic market only. There is certain loopholes in this scheme also, which we can uh, skip here, but ultimately we can say this is if we are not going to discuss those loopholes, we can say this is really a welcome step taken by the Indian government for the revival of the Indian MSMEs. So here again, we can discuss about what is happening in the Indian market or what is happening in the market world over nowadays. Nowadays we can we can check out the market is divided not about the MSMEs and the large scale companies or the small scale. If we talk about the market has divided in two parts. One is the essential item market and the second one is the non-essential item market. Even the government is handling both both these two category of markets with different strategies. Like for the essential item, the strategies of the government is different, and for the non-essential items, the strategies of the government is different. So here in this picture, I have put Indian government in the middle, and then you will see on the one hand it is an Indian MSME sector which is manufacturing the essential items and the non-essential items. Both means some companies are there which are manufacturing the essential items. They are facing different challenges, different unique challenges. Means they are about to sell the products, they are allowed to sell the products, but they are not able to sell the products. Just because of the lockdown, or just because of they are not getting the supply of the raw material from the abroad or from the domestic market, or even they have the supply, they have the market also open for them, but they don't have the skilled labor because the labor has been migrated. On the other hand, those organizations which are manufacturing non-essential items nowadays, okay, this is the worst time for those organizations. Why? Because even each and everything is clear, each and everything is on track, consumers are not there, demand is not there for their products. Okay, so Indian government and the MSME will have to think about separately for the essential items and the non-essential items. On the one hand, essential items, if they are talking about, then they will have to think about like the different challenges they need to overcome. On the other hand, if they are trying to sell the non-essential items, they will have to overcome different kinds of the challenges, and one is there, and that is really very important. The zero, nil, or no demand we can see in the market, or very less demand in the market. Another thing here we can discuss, like there is a lot of items which are falling in a category which we cannot consider the essential or the non-essential. Means governments talking about those categories are the non-essential, but the people or the consumers are means there is a common thought, like we can take the example of the mobile phones. Okay, it is non-essential item in the category of government, but is it essential or not? We can think about, like most of us working from home, so the laptop is essential or non-essential? We will have to think about that, right? So after this, we can discuss about the gaps, like where is the loopholes, where is the gaps in the industry, or in the while the government is taking the actions, or the MSME sector is taking the actions, where they are falling. So in this picture, I tried to show the push strategies. What is that? Indian government is pushing the products of MSME sector. Like this, you can see Indian government is trying to push these. Indian government is trying to push the MSME sector or the products of the MSME sector where in the Indian market and for the Indian export also. So what they are taking the economic measures. Here we need to find out whether the economic measures which has been taken by the Indian government that is covering only 1% or not more than 2% Indian economies. Sorry, not more than 2% of the total Indian MSMEs. So what about the rest 98% Indian MSMEs? Means what kind of the help they are receiving or they are going to receive from the Indian government? They are looking forward towards means to update, to do the digitalization. They are looking forward to improve the logistics. They are looking forward to improve the product quality, as Dr. Daud also suggests us, like they should do this. But with the limited resources, what can be done? What can be done? So here, if the Indian government is coming forward with only means to do the help only 2% people, okay, the rest 98% MSMEs will have to handle the challenges by themselves. This is what I want to say. The another means here we are talking about the economic measures. Okay, means Indian government is trying to push only 2% 2% MSMEs or like that is given in the picture also 45 lakh plus 2 lakh plus 25 lakh. So it makes not more than 75 lakh, and nowadays it is means 75 million, sorry, 7.5 crore is 75 million registered MSME, we can say, after the revision of the older definition of Indian MSMEs. Okay, so economic measures we will have to think about again, and if we are not able to get the economic measures, if we are as a MSMEs, if we are not falling in that category, we will have to handle the challenges by ourselves. Another, that is the push strategy we can talk about. And push strategies, what is that? Push strategies where another one is the pull strategies. What is that? Here the Indian government is trying to pull the products which is being manufactured or the supplies which are being rendered by the Indian MSMEs from the market to the Indian society, from the market to the Indian customers or the consumers. So here again we will have to think, what are the facilities Indian government has provided to generate the demand in the market, especially for the MSME, to generate the demand for the MSME products. Okay, we can find out a lot of loopholes, we can find out a lot of gaps which can be easily filled up to generate the demand. Ultimately, if the demand will not be there for the MSME products, what the MSME sector can do by getting the different kind of the facilities, means a lot of push strategies cannot handle the virtue of the MSME sector if there is no demand or very less demand for the MSME products in the market. So what are the push strategies here? The push strategies means, what are the main push strategies? Like no immediate cash relief. Each and every MSME was looking for the announcement for the immediate cash relief. Like in some other countries, we have read about it. Like USA, we talk about Italy, we have talked about, or the France and some other developing countries also. The governments are coming forward and providing immediate relief in terms of the subsidy or in terms of the direct cash transfer in the accounts. But here, this is the biggest gap we can talk about. Another one is the poor e-commerce facilitation. What is that? Means suppose if the demand is there, if people are ready to purchase the products, okay, like the infrastructure we can say in India, that is not that much good in compared to other countries. Like I'm living in Saudi Arab, and even in the lockdown, I'm ready, means I'm easily getting the daily need supplies online. I'm easily getting the other products online easily within 2 or 3 days, even within means next day also. But is it possible in India? If not, we will have to think about that. Another one is unorganized sector. Even the government even the previous governments, I'm not talking about this government, they have not done well as far as the MSME sector is concerned. And we can say this is the one of the biggest unorganized sector of the world. If we talk about the business sector, if we talk about any economy sector, where not more than 10 or 15%, as Dr. Dawood revealed about it, not more 10 or 15% MSMEs are registered with the government. Means government has no data about the MSMEs, like what they do, what are the products they are producing, what is the total turnover, and a lot of other things which are which are yet to reveal, which are yet to be received by the government. Okay, so these are the gaps we can talk about. If we talk about the gaps in the pull strategies, so this is the demand shock in the market. Government is doing what? Government should come forward and establish confidence.
Alam, we have last 4 minutes.
Yes, this one is my last slide. Okay, so gaps in the government pull strategies, facilitation to pull MSME products from the market. Means the government, because MSMEs have very limited resources, they don't know, means they don't have the way how to advertise, how to establish the brand and each and everything in the market. Okay, so government should come forward and establish that confidence even in the society, even in the customers, among the customers also, to purchase the MSME product. Okay, and it can also be filled up, means these gaps can also be filled up by doing means by establishing the confidence, by improving the logistics system, and by improving the health facilities also. Because if health facilities, like what is happening in some other countries, if they are becoming the corona positive, they are not feared very much nowadays. Means we are talking about the other countries people, they are coming out and they are purchasing, they are doing almost all the economic activities. Why? Because they know if they will be infected, there is a cure, there is a chance to be cured. But because they are not very much afraid now, right? So that kind of the health facility should be there to increase the confidence, to establish that confidence in the society, in the market, among the customers. Okay, with these words, I'm closing it here. Yes. Yes, sir.
Excellent presentation, Alam.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. So, with this session over by Dr. Alam, we are moving to question and answer session.
Yes, yes, sir.
Our viewers have sent a lot of questions and some of the observations, and I'll read out those questions to you all. And whosoever feels like answering them, you can mute yourself, then answer, and then unmute yourself. No, just unmute yourself and answer, and then mute again. Okay. The first question is coming from Adamu Ado Abu Bakr. The question is, what is implication of depression of the economy on future of MSMEs and the possible political implications?
Okay, so can you please repeat it again? What is the implications of
depression or recession of the economy on the future of MSMEs and the possible political implications?
Okay.
Anyone among you, whosoever feel like?
I think Dr. Wasim can take this.
Yeah, it was from his session only. Dr. Wasim, please unmute yourself. Dr. Wasim, we can't hear you.
Okay, I can take this, no problem.
Support of MSMEs, or why there is no data in general? How could we say that government is not having data? So these are kind of questions are coming. So Dr. Siddiqui, this is a question for you.
It's a good question. First of all, we need to see that only around 10% of the units, MSME units, are registered. So that is why, as Dr. Alam has rightly pointed out, not much can be said about the whole MSME sector, since we know only about 10% of the MSMEs. But when it comes to exports, the reason being is that there's no identifier or any field in the export database of DGCIS. So from which we can identify that the goods have been exported by MSME. Only a basket list is there, which contains around 454 items on 4-digit ITCHS codes. So only on the basis of that code, we can identify that it is this product is from MSME. Further, we need to understand that, for example, honey is exported, natural honey is exported even by an MSME and also by a large scale industry. So that is why that discrepancy is there. I hope I have answered the question. Thank you.
Yes, we are running short of time, so we will take only 2-3 more questions. Like RBI has a capital support of 50,000 crore to amount B which is injected to MSMEs. 50,000 crore RBI announced capital support.
Okay. So this 50,000 crore is also the part of that self-reliance, or we can say the R package. That 50,000 crore which is coming, that is coming in the form of the subordinate funds, and which will be handled by the SIDBI, and later on, means under the SIDBI, that is the small industry will also handle that under the guidance of SIDBI, we can say. And another point is that another package, that is the equity infusion package. Under that, the government has taken 50,000 crore, and under the subordinate package, the government has given 20,000 crore. So that RBI, which is being asked in the question, that is already covered in the presentation.
Okay, one more question is for you, Alam.
Yes.
Sagathevan Suryan, he is asking, and this question is specifically to you. Is it okay to say that current relief package priming policy? I'm not sure what does that mean.
Priming policy.
Pump priming. Yeah, the current relief package as a pump priming policy.
Okay, like if I see this package, this is not more than enough for the MSMEs. The immediate relief package should come, immediate cash transfer should be there, but there is another problem of the identifier, like how the government will identify about the MSMEs if the government is not having the complete data. That is why government has come with this package, because I think, this is my personal opinion, because the government is not having the correct data of the MSMEs, government is not able to transfer the direct credit in the accounts of the different MSMEs. And another point is, that is why the government is coming with such kind of the packages in the form of the loans and the indirect measures, we can say. So we cannot say like this is the pump or something like that for the Indian economy.
Can I add something? Can I add something?
Sure, sir.
Yes.
In my opinion, who can vote in India? Only those who have the voting right, or those who are enrolled with the Election Commission of India. So similarly, we need to remember that all the benefits of these schemes are available to only those MSMEs who are registered. That is why we always stress upon this point that we need to get registered. Udyog Aadhaar, you can register yourself with Udyog Aadhaar. You can go online and fill a simple form. That is all that you need to do. So the government is helping only those who are registered units. So we need to register. So MSMEs also need to stress on this point.
A connected question for you.
I want to add one thing. I want to add one thing at this point of time. In fact, this stimulus package of 49 billion US dollar is, of course, pump priming. There is no doubt about it. But this pump priming, is quite paltry, quite very small, I can say, because it is not going to stimulate the SIC sector right now. And the government must act with more largesse, more, with open-hearted, effort. That is what I want to say. This is, of course, pump priming, but with very, close-hearted action.
Okay, over to Dr. Siddiqui. The question is again connected. Sir, do you agree with the fact, it is asked by Pallavi Bansal. Sir, do you agree with the fact that with the literacy of the owner and manager of MSMEs in the field of finance, financial goods and services, digitization, they can deal with the challenges?
Of course, there's nothing to disagree about it. We must agree. We need literacy. It's not that you have to be a graduate from certain university or you need to have a certain qualification, but at least you need to have the basic understanding of all the financial terms. If you are a manager, you need to understand the people who are working under you. You need to have the basic understanding of all the things. So I agree with you. There's nothing to disagree with this.
I think time doesn't allow us more for more questions, and we have already covered almost all the questions. So with this, I would like to thank on behalf of Global School of Business Commerce, Global University, to all our esteemed guests, Dr. Siddiqui, Dr. Akram, and Dr. Alam. It was great to have you here, and I'm telling you, I was completely a novice in this field, and after this session, I've learned a lot, and now I believe it would be very helpful for me personally to learn and understand things better when the MSMEs are being talked about, whenever we have to think about it. And this session has been immensely helpful for me personally, and I believe it must be for all our audience. So thank you very much, and I believe we will be continuing this relationship, and we will be seeing you soon. We'll be meeting you in person, hopefully after the lockdown. I wish you all the best, and with our best wishes. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. Have a good day.
Thank you, and same to you.
Thank you.